And Mick, you know, Annalise Nielsen, our Sky News U.S. correspondent, reported earlier on this network that Donald Trump held a long press conference earlier today, gave a lot of really good lines. And this is by contrast to the Kamala Harris campaign, which is doing basically a rerun of the 2020 basement campaign. But even then, Joe Biden did some Zoom calls and things like this. Is the Trump campaign going to be able to cut through by actually speaking to the press, giving them things that they can report on, whereas they're not going to have anything to report on about Kamala Harris if she is, you know, not doing events and basically avoiding the press?
Yeah, James, it's a fascinating question. Right now, Kamala Harris is essentially making the gamble that she can get through the next 80 days, which is a very short period of time for an election in this country. Keep in mind, our presidential elections are 2 years at least. This one's going to be roughly 3 months. And her gamble is, if I don't talk too much, I might be able to win. I'm sitting here, as you can tell, in a television studio in Washington, D.C. We just wrapped up coverage of this particular matter that you're talking about, the long, rambling press conference that Trump gave today. And the Democrats were all, well, good, it's the same old thing. He's not moving the needle. He's talking about the same things he's always talked about. And then the Republicans on the panel said, yeah, but at least he's taking questions. And he's raising the point that he can take questions. And Kamala Harris has not proved yet to anybody that she can take questions. You cannot run for president in this country. And more importantly, in the eyes of the voters, I don't think you can be the president if you can't stand in front of the press and answer questions for half an hour or 45 minutes. Kamala Harris has not done that yet. So say what you want to about Trump's rambling nature at his press conference and so forth. At least he's doing it, and by doing it, he's exposing her for not. And that may be another one of the angles that he's testing out here to see which one of those sorts of messages lands the most punches on the Kamala Harris campaign here in the last days of the election.
Yeah, no, I know. But as you say, it's 80 days left. Early voting starts to open in just a matter of a few weeks in some states. So it's, you know, not a lot of time to go. Hey, Mick, before I let you go, though, this absolutely knocked me over this week. It's been reported that in 2016, Hunter Biden, yeah, remember him, sought assistance from the U.S. government and the State Department to secure a lucrative energy project in Italy while his father was vice president. And this project was run by, guess who? Burisma, that Ukrainian company that, of course, we heard all those stories about. Mick, this would seem to be confirmation that the story that the White House and so much of the media called fake news for years may actually be true. Why is it suddenly safe to start to talk about this? Mick, I find it fascinating now that Joe Biden is no longer the candidate. We can suddenly talk about Hunter Biden.
So here's the chatter about that inside Washington, D.C., is that this is not the last you are going to hear about stories regarding Hunter Biden's conduct over the course of, say, the last 10 years. There's some folks suggesting that you're going to hear more and more of this. Why? So that he can plead guilty to a bunch of stuff in the next couple of months, and then his father can then pardon him on his way out of office. Keep in mind, Joe Biden said he wouldn't pardon his son during the campaign, et cetera, said he would never pardon him. But you got to think that as a dad, as you're leaving the Oval Office, if your son has got some difficulties, could you help him out and pardon him from all of his convictions? That's a very powerful argument. So there's an interesting sort of back chatter here as to whether or not this is not the last time you're going to hear about new information regarding Hunter Biden, so that through the use of the pardon power, Joe Biden can clean things up before he leaves office in January of 2025.
Yeah, Mick, I reckon you're right about that. I also wonder just how many of these stories were dangled over Joe Biden's head, as well as the 25th Amendment, to get him to make that historic decision to pull out of the race. Mick Mulvaney, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.